Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Scoliosis Warrior podcast. My name is Eva Butterly, and today on the show, we'll be discussing insights, information, and practical tips to help you along your scoliosis journey. So sit back, relax, have a cup of tea, and enjoy the show. Hello, my dears, and welcome to episode 41 of the Scoliosis Warrior podcast. We are capping off this beautiful month of April with a guest who has been brought back on by popular demand. That is the beautiful scoliosis angel, Erin Myers. So this is a more free-flow conversation today, guys. We get really just raw, open and honest about our own experiences dealing with scoliosis, both personally and professionally as well. And of course, Erin is such a fountain of wisdom, but also inspiration as well. This episode really goes deep into the more mindset side of dealing with scoliosis, and I 100% feel that anyone could benefit from absorbing Erin's mindset when it comes to your scoliosis. Erin's philosophy is pretty simple. She thinks that scoliosis is simply an excuse for you to have to move your body every single day, whatever shape or form that takes, whether it's just a long walk with your family or doing a gym session or doing some Pilates, but treating your scoliosis as a way that you need to love on your body, and that's really ultimately what's going to help you come to peace with having scoliosis and help you be pain-free and manage the condition for life. I always feel so uplifted after talking to Erin. She makes you feel so good about having scoliosis, mentally, physically. She's a scoliosis angel. And we're going to make this podcast, her coming on, a regular thing because I just love this woman and I know you guys do too. So without further ado, let's get into this conversation with Erin.
So I have this client who I do virtual lessons with, and she lives in Nova Scotia. And I've been working with her for 6 months. I've worked out with her online. She has some of my workout videos for Scoli. She's read my books. I've helped her find practitioners in her town. I've done some emotional coaching with her. And a few days ago, I got an email from her that I actually still haven't responded to. And it was a tome of an email. I mean, it was could be the next chapter in one of my books. It was so long. And she probably guessing has a 50-degree lumbar curve, but there's no other pathologies beyond that. And she's in pain. But if you don't move, you're going to be in pain. I don't care if you have scoliosis or not. If you don't move, you will be in pain.
Oh my gosh, it makes it so much worse. I find if I don't work out for 2 or 3 days, your back does be in bits.
Totally. And this woman has not been able to find the internal motivation to work out. We're talking months, maybe even years. So you can imagine how bound the body is at this point, especially in a lumbar curve that's super twisted, 50-ish degrees. Ooh. And so she sent me this email. I haven't responded yet because I didn't even know how to respond. I guess I'm responding right now. I'll email this. I'll email my response in a little bit. And this email, she told me that she was in so much pain that she went to the emergency room. And she wanted the emergency room doctor to give her an MRI to just quadruply check that there was nothing wrong. Luckily, this doctor had the wherewithal to say, I don't think anything's wrong with you. I think you're really tight and you've got a lot of tight trigger points. And why don't you go get a massage? I couldn't believe that a doctor actually said that and didn't give her pills or anything like that. And I've told her so many times, and I don't know how else to verbally say that, But I can say this to everyone that has scoliosis. You have to move. You have to move every day for the rest of your life. And I will say that people without scoliosis would love to have an excuse to budget in their time and money, that they have to go get a massage every 2 weeks and have a trainer or a Pilates instructor and work out every day.
What about people, though, Erin, who can't afford it?
Then you work out at home.
Yeah.
Follow you on Instagram, Eva. You have fabulous things all the time.
I just went ditto, girlfriend. Ditto.
I just was in California at Balanced Body's headquarters. I'm a teacher trainer for them. They own Pilates.com, the largest Pilates company in the world. I just videotaped 6 workout videos for them, 5 which are for scoliosis. And these are like 30-minute workout videos that people can do, some of which are on equipment, Pilates equipment, some of which are at home with no props. They'll be released soon on Pilates.com. But that's the thing. If you don't have money, then you know what you do? You find an old tennis ball laying around in the park from a ball that a dog decided not to bring home with him that day. You bring that home, you wash it off, and you lay on it. And then you go and you get a few of these workout videos online, which are very cheap, and you start working out. On my website on spiralspine.com, there's a bunch of free videos called the Starting Point series. And it breaks down in like 6 multi-minute videos how to analyze your scoliosis. So you know where to place pads when you're working out. What's going to be rotating back? What's going to be rotating forward? There are ways to do this that don't cost money. If you have money, then you get an instructor to help you do it. Then you get a massage therapist to help you live this life. And it's okay. If you do not move, and if you do not love on the tissue on your body by rolling out or massaging yourself or having your best friend massage you out or your boyfriend or your spouse or whatever, you're going to be in pain. And I'm just telling you that now. Because if you have spinal fusion surgery, that's not going to fix your pain. Now you have 18 screws and 2 stainless steel rods in your back. Might that be what needs to happen? Maybe. But guess what? It doesn't take scoliosis out of your body. And Eva, even though I know you've had your hardware removed, your back in all essence is mostly fused. I know you have some movement in your back, but did the fusion fix your scoli?
Oh, no. Heck no.
Yeah.
If anything, it made it worse.
Well, that is a discussion for another day. So that's the thing is, whether you have a fusion, whether you're wearing a brace, whether you're unfused and never plan on going near a surgeon and a knife, whether you're 7 years old or you're 77 years old, you have to move. It's not negotiable. Your scoliosis will own you. It will feel like a noose around your neck. Some days, I feel like with some of my clients that I work with internationally, online, and occasionally some of my scoliosis clients in the studio when I originally start working with them, when they haven't emotionally and physically owned their scoliosis and haven't made peace with it, I kind of put myself on a little bit of suicide watch, because it has so encompassed them that it rules them, and that doesn't need to happen.
Do you know, it's funny, Erin. I don't know about yourself, because you've always been active. Did you ever have a point in your life where scoliosis did really emotionally affect you? And if so, how did you kind of start to overcome that?
When I was at home, when I gave birth to my sons 21 months apart, it was chaos in my house for
oh my gosh, girl.
for a few years.
Fertile Myrtle.
Living in really more like, oh, my first son was really colicky and just like screamed for the first multiple months of his life. And I was like, you know what? We're already kind of in hell. So let's just continue this hell, because I don't want to come out of this and then have to relive this again.
Oh my gosh, you are a glutton for punishment, Erin.
I know. My second one was like, I was like, my husband and I were like, oh my gosh, if we had our second one first, we would have like 50 kids. Yeah. So he's so chilled. He's so laid back. Yeah.
You balance each other out well, I guess.
I know. But when I was at home and my hormones were going crazy and I was breastfeeding and I had 2 itty bitty baby boys at home, my Scully got bad. Bad news bears. I hurt. I wasn't sleeping through the night. I wasn't taking care of my body because I could barely get out of bed because I was so tired all the time. But so I hurt, and I could look in the mirror and I'm like, oh man. And you know what I did?
What?
When I did that, put my kids in the crib, I laid down on my kids' nursery floor, and I immediately just started loving on my body, because I knew if I did not put a stop to this now, it was not going to get better on its own. So starting when my kids were little, I've probably decreased. During that time, my Scully got worse. And since then, I've probably decreased my upper curve, maybe 15 or 20 degrees. And my lower curve is almost nothing now. It's probably below 10. So that probably decreased 15, 20 degrees. And it's just by loving on my body every day, by asking my body, how do I feel today? What hurts today? Okay, well, is working out hard going to be what my body needs today? Or is mobilizing my body going to be what it needs today? Or is going and taking a walk and being with my family and realizing that people love me, regardless of what's going on in my back, is that going to be how my body's going to be loved on today? And scoliosis will own you unless you put your foot down and say, it's not. It's not, and I'm going to go and live a fabulous life, and I'm going to love on my body every single day.
I think that's really inspiring, Erin, because, it really goes to show you that there's no excuse. Like, you could be poor, you could be breastfeeding, you could maybe not even be able to move very far, but there's always an option available to you, but it's a matter of you, I guess, finding out what that is, and not making an excuse for it, finding the time, because it's crucial. It's crucial to your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual, every way.
Totally. You know, it's interesting. So at my studio, Spiral Spine Pilates, obviously we work with people who have scoliosis in my studio, but my studio has started to be like a haven for people that other people won't work with. So we've got people with multiple sclerosis, with cerebral palsy who can barely walk, with Scheuermann syndrome, with Parkinson's, with cancer. We've got all these clients at my studio. And it's super interesting because even in a group class setting, so the group classes at my studio are kind of funny. So we max out at 6 people in a group class on equipment, and they make little like families. Like they joke with each other in class. They give each other hell if they're not there. They know what's going on. Some of them are really little itty bitty teenagers. Some of them are old ladies. Some of them have scoliosis. Some of them are fused. Some of them are not fused. Some of them have cancer. All across the board. And I just have to sit back and I have to look at them some days. And because most of them who have made their way to group classes, they don't wear the flag of I have scoliosis. At that point, it's just kind of fallen away. They're just a human who's loving on their body to live the best life possible. Because sometimes people in these group classes, there's nothing diagnostically wrong with them. They just kind of got tender bodies. And they're in the same group class and the same struggles, fighting the same fight as the rest of the people in class. They're tight, they're weak, they're tired, just like everyone else. Just like people have scoliosis, just like people who have a million other pathologies. And so one of the things that I love is not proclaiming that I have scoliosis. As weird as that sounds, I just wanted to fall away.
Well, I think it's very easy to identify with that, and then create this whole identity out of having this what some people might call a disability, and I think having that kind of mindset, it just kind of limits you in a lot of unnecessary ways.
Totally. And I'm not ashamed that I have scoliosis, but I've got bunions. They hurt sometimes if I don't wear the right shoes. You pick out the body issues that we have. I've got bow legs. If I don't do my inner thigh exercises, my knees get in trouble.
Do they cave in? Is it, Erin, if you don't?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I ended up in knee braces in the middle of my first season dancing with the Radio City Rockettes because I didn't care. I didn't know how to care for my legs appropriately. But now I do. And, I was taking a bike ride with my family on last Sunday, on Easter, actually. And right through the middle of this 10-mile bike ride, my right kneecap just started screaming at me. And I was just cursing myself under my breath. And I was like, oh, I haven't rolled my legs out in so long. I haven't done my inner thigh exercises. And sure enough, I got home, I did my exercises, and I rolled my knees out or rolled my quads out. And sure enough, my knee pain went away. But I'm not wearing a shirt that says I was in knee braces for a year. No, you fix it and it just goes away. Do I still have that bony misalignment in my legs? Yeah, it's all right though. And that's what I want people with scoliosis to have. I'm like, we're not ashamed that we have it. We have peace that we know it, that we have it. But now we know exactly how our curves show themselves. We know what to do for it. We know when we need to exercise. We know when we need to get a massage or we need to roll out. And we just take care of our bodies. And then scoliosis no longer owns us. And it just falls away and our quality of life increases and we can just go forward. And I will say this, that some people with scoliosis have serious body dysmorphism issues, where they feel like they look like they're the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And I will tell you that most people, they don't see that. They literally do not see that.
Nobody sees it. It's
nobody
crazy.
Sees it. And even I'll tell you, funny, probably too much information story. So I was doing something. I was walking around in like a string bikini top one day, like a few years ago at home. I don't even know. We were going to the pool or something. And I was doing something. I'm bending over in the dishwasher or something. And my husband, I've been with this man for 15 years. Okay. My husband, I love my husband. He looks at me and he said, wow, you have scoliosis. I about died right there. My the size of saucers. I was like, babe, do you know what I do for a living? You know the books that I published on this?
What?
You know the studio that I have? He was like, I know. I mean, I know that you have it. I know that that's your career, but I don't see it. And I burst out laughing. And I said, babe, I sleep next to you in bed. I was like, you see me naked. You have never noticed that I have a twisted back? He was like, no, you're beautiful.
Oh.
I just had to sit there and laugh and smile.
That's so beautiful, Erin.
I will tell you guys, I have seen women who do not want to date because they think that the man in front of them will see how ugly they are because of their backs. I'm telling you right now, a man is not looking at that. He doesn't care. I have so many clients at my studio who have extreme scoliosis. We're talking big time scoliosis. Almost all of them are married. Amazing men. I know most of them. And the men did not marry those women because they felt bad for them. The men married those women because they're beautiful and they're strong, and they fell in love with all of them. And I just want people with scoliosis to see that, is that if you let it own you, it will destroy you. And it doesn't need to.
It's
It
so
doesn't
sad.
need
It's
to.
so sad that we're kind of living in a society where people feel like they're not enough because of something that they can't control,
Mm-hmm.
and really, like, nobody, not that nobody cares, but when someone is talking to you, I feel like they're more concerned with how they're being perceived than
Mm-hmm.
what you have on your back or anything else. And if they
Mm-hmm.
are noticing something about you, it's your spirit. It's that inner quality. Like, that's the thing that people are drawn to. It's not what you physically look like.
Right. I cannot agree more. And I feel like I will be preaching it on mountaintops until Jesus takes me home. You have to move. If you take care of yourself, it's going to be great. It will be fine. I gave birth to children vaginally. My scoliosis did not stop me from doing that. I danced with the Rockettes. It did not stop me from doing that. Did I have to do a little bit more rehab than maybe some other people? Yeah. Okay. It's fine. It is fine. Own it. Take control of it. And I will say, if you are having an emotional time with what you're dealing with, then I need you to go find a great counselor to go talk to. Go talk to a psychologist. I actually saw one for a few months, not because of my scoliosis, but because of some other stuff. And it was interesting how much shame and other things came out from that. And I don't think it's a bad thing that you have a counselor. One of my Scully clients that I actually could not get one of her psoas to release, and I saw her back getting wound up and wound up and wound up, and I saw some of the situations that were going on in her life, and I saw how she was reacting to them, and I made a correlation. So the psoas muscle is one of the strongest muscles in the body, and also the most emotional muscle in the body. So if you have an intense lumbar curve that is unable to release, you need to check your psoas out. You need to palpate it. You need to lay on a cannonball. But if you start having like flashbacks, if you start getting some crazy strong feelings, emotional feelings when you're laying on this ball, I have tried very hard to keep the physical body the physical and the emotional body the emotional, and I can no longer keep them apart. I have seen time and time again, especially over the last few months, how much the emotional junk that we have been through as children and in our past life, in our younger life, how much it is connected to tightness in our psoas.
Really?
So it's been an interesting adventure, let's say. But if you are having body dysmorphism issues, if you have suicidal thoughts, if you've got a really intense lumbar curve and one hip flexor that's bloody tight, I would save up a few pennies and go and do some research and find just a fabulous counselor, a fabulous psychologist in your town that would be willing to chat with you for a little bit and see what's going on. I have seen in myself and in many of my Scully clients, once these things are dealt with from the past, that Scully calms down. Like physically, there's a decrease in curvature because the psoas calms down.
So do you think, Erin, that a lot of body dysmorphia comes from the conditioning that we've received as children?
It's a piece. I
Yeah.
can't deny it. I've seen it in a lot of my clients. Interestingly, a lot of my clients not currently have, but they're still battling with some of these emotions, but in the past dealt with eating disorders. And whether cart came before the horse that they had scoliosis and then had an eating disorder because they were trying to control their body because they couldn't control their scoliosis, or we had eating disorder and then from that we had some funky emotional junk that happened, and then we started not having the nutritional we started having some severe nutritional deficiencies, and something clicked epigenetic wise, and scoliosis started from there. I don't have a great answer for you yet about that. Maybe one day I will, but I cannot deny that. I've just seen it too many times in my clients. So, I mean, even clients, from a young age where parents say continually, stand up straight, stand up straight, stand up straight, stand up straight. They didn't know that their kid had scoliosis, and they didn't know that, one shoulder rotated forward and one part of their ribs rotated back. Things that was never necessarily malicious on a parent's part.
No.
But nonetheless somehow ingrain themselves into this child's brain and body. And it's amazing the things that when we have scoliosis, the things that we remember and that we cling to. So I remember the first time I went and saw a counselor, and I was really just worried like something was wrong with me because I was going to talk to a psychologist. And she's such a motherly woman, this woman that I went and saw and still see on occasion if I'm having some troubles with something. And she said to me, she goes, if you want to be good at football, you get a football coach. If you want to have good marriage, you have a marriage counselor. If you want to have peace with yourself and you're battling with some stuff in your brain, you talk to a counselor, and it's fine. Going and seeing a counselor does not make you a bad person. Doesn't mean something is wrong with you.
It's just you taking care of your mental health.
That's exactly right. Not all psychologists are created equally. So if you work with someone for a while and things aren't getting better, then go talk to somebody else. But just know that I can't take that away from the scoliosis body. And that needs to be, the emotional health of someone with scoliosis needs to be loved on as well.
Do you ever, or are you interested in meditation, Erin?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A lot of people, I think, with scoliosis, we mentally spin in our minds. We spin about getting worried about our bodies. And when I lived in New York City, I moved there 2 weeks before 9/11. And about 6 months after that, due to a myriad of different issues, moving to New York right before 9/11 did not help. I ended up with panic attacks. I was actually hospitalized.
Oh my gosh.
And so luckily one of the doctors that I talked to said, he was like, well, I can put you on a bunch of medication that isn't really, it's going to numb you, or you can figure out how to control your mind and you can start doing meditation. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'll take the latter. So it was in New York when I started, I found a fabulous, wonderful woman who is a yoga instructor, and she taught me how to meditate for the first time. And I was with her for a few years, and that's what led me into Pilates. As I like to say, you can't read a book and do Pilates at the same time. So the movement that I do in my studio and what my teachers teach is something where your mind has to be calm. You can't think about other things while you're thinking about this. And you are intentional with your mind, with your body, and a lot of my clients learn to meditate while they move. So I'm a huge advocate of it. Some of my clients meditate at home on their own, and calm their minds down that way. Some clients do it while they move. Some clients go take walks, and that's a way that they calm their minds and meditate. But
yeah, I think that's the beautiful thing about movement, like Pilates, weightlifting, whatever your sport is that it is like a moving form of meditation, and you can't properly practice and engage in the practice if you're not mindful.
Absolutely. Agreed on so many notes, Eva.
I've definitely, I've found a lot of peace over the years since properly learning how to meditate, because it really makes you quite aware of your own mind and these kind of trickling thoughts that kind of almost like recycled thoughts that keep coming up over and over and over again, and when you become aware of that, then it stops having so much control over you, because it's going from your unconscious mind to being very conscious.
Totally. Absolutely. I would say with scoliosis, it's just another piece of owning your scoliosis is the mental aspect.
What did you say last time? It's 50% emotional, or was it 51?
51% emotional, 49% physical. Absolutely. And the physical piece is so big.
Oh
but
my
51
gosh.
is still 51% is still emotional.
Well, if you don't genuinely love yourself or wish good things for yourself, then you're not going to go ahead and try and treat the physical. So emotional does kind of come first.
Exactly. On so many notes. And that's where everyone growing up and stuff like that, sometimes you have to have someone help you sort through some stuff in your past and why you treat yourself this way, and have someone help sort that out and give you the tools on how to love on your body well. Sometimes we have to unlearn some bad behaviors that we didn't know were bad, but it's just the way that we were raised, and it's not from malicious parents, but it just is what happened.
It's nobody's fault.
Right.
I believe that people at any given time, they're doing the best that they can with what they've been given and what conditioning that they've received.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately at that point they just end up in a world of hurts, crumbled emotionally and physically, and
then
getting the tools to pick them up.
It compiles on top of each other over the years, if you don't continually keep cleaning that window.
Agreed. And it's given people who have scoliosis tools to own their scoli. And you have to figure out what your recipe is. Is your recipe more of a mental battle than physical? Albeit, yes, you've got scoliosis, but when it gets down to it, is more of yours emotional? Or are you like, dude, I grew up in the best house. I have the best mom and dad. I've got the best brothers. I've got the best husband. I've got the best kids. I've got so much peace in my life. And most of it's physical. Everyone's going to be different. Everyone's going to have a little bit of a different recipe. And you have to figure out your recipe. I cannot give you your recipe because we were all raised differently. We all have slightly different scoli. We all have slightly different genetic makeup. You have to do a little bit of soul searching and figure out what your recipe is.
Speaking of that DNA element, Erin, we never got into that at the start of the podcast, but I find that absolutely fascinating. So, in terms of diet for scoliosis, have you found that there's any kind of correlation between what your ancestral roots are and how that's going to affect your nutrition and in turn your scoliosis?
Yes, but I will also say that everyone is going to be different. I've seen a lot of people out there that are like, oh, if you have scoliosis, you should follow this diet. But the reality is we all have different genetic makeup.
Yeah.
And the reality is that we all are different. One of my favorite epigeneticists is Dr. Ben Lynch, Lynch. He has a book out called Dirty Genes, and I am elbow deep in it right now for the third time reading it.
Dirty
in the last
jeans. Dun,
in the
dun,
last in the last 6 months. And I had my DNA run. You can have it run through like 23andMe or through Ancestry.com. You get the raw data from that, and then you upload it to one of his companies. He has a site that analyzes all the data through algorithms called Stratagene, STRAGENE.org, I think. And it tells you which of your genes are heterozygously or homozygously mutated from like normal population. Doesn't mean you're bad. And it has blown my mind at how much our genes tell us what we should eat and how we should care for our bodies. I've had a few clients do this, and it's really interesting. We're all a little bit different, but many of us have many mutated genes, and that has given us our own little fun, little quirky personalities. But it also gives us the recipe for how to live the best life mentally and physically. For my genes, I have to have heavy protein at every meal. But you can very quickly have, other people can have genes that are slightly mutated in a different way, and actually lots of protein slows you down. So, yeah, it's blown my mind. I'm sure that someday I will have enough information to give lots of advice to people that have scoliosis on nutrition. I mean, organic, clean eating. Yes, 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 yes. Get out the toxins. Yes, 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 in every part of your life. But if you're interested, I would check out Dr. Ben Lynch's latest book, and get your genes run. For all of it, it can be like $150 altogether. And you're going to have to sit down with his book, and you're going to have to sit down with his with the multi 10, 20 page report that gets emailed to you about this, and sort through it, which can be a little bit daunting. But if you really want to figure out what's best for your body, that's how you do it. And it's blown my mind.
That's so interesting, Erin. It's fascinating how one diet for a particular person could be kryptonite for another person.
Totally. So I love tea, and I'd have tea in the morning, and I have tea around noon. And, but I would just be on the struggle bus at like 4:00 in the afternoon, but I wouldn't have any more caffeine, so I could go to bed. I was vegetarian for years. But I have started eating meat a few years ago. I started eating meat, and, it's really interesting because when I got my genetics run, caffeine was like one of the worst things that it could do for me. So, and not having meat at every heavy protein at every meal was one of the worst things that you could ever do for me. And so I was like, are you kidding me? So I just changed that stuff. I'm so much more even keel. I don't have high highs. I don't have low lows anymore. I don't need naps anymore. I'm like, are you kidding me? This stuff is crazy. So if you're on a struggle bus physically, do it. It's worth it.
And yeah, sometimes it's just like a very simple change in your diet, and it can make all the difference in the world.
Absolutely, girl.
Have you ever read that book by Kevin Lau? He's a chiropractor, and he talks about treating scoliosis from a chiropractor's perspective.
I have studied some of his work. I don't know if it was I'm fairly certain it was written in another language. I think he's from Singapore. Written in another language and then translated to English. And I don't know if it was because the translation wasn't fabulous, but I had a little bit of a hard time reading his stuff. So, but I don't mean to. I read his food book. I read every book and article that is out there. But I just don't think it's, and I've seen it on a lot of different trough sites. But I just don't think it's that quite that easy.
No, well, he talks a little bit about it, not in terms of the physical side of treating it, but he talks about like the ancestral diet, so eating the way that your forefathers would have eaten, and in order to do that, you do have to do a bit of like exploratory work into what your particular DNA is.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, very paleo diet-ish. Yes. I mean, there is no doubt that, the horrific food that is eaten in our country, in my country currently, because we live in different countries, in my opinion, plays a huge role into scoliosis. But cutting that is not going to fix someone's scoliosis and make it straight. Does it need to not happen? Absolutely. Everyone should be eating a wise way. But yeah.
But it's just a piece of the puzzle.
Make your spine straight. No. Absolutely. It's a piece of the puzzle. Yes. Agreed.
Yeah, and it's a multifaceted thing. Like there's no just like one spinal fusion and then you're done forever, as we were saying.
No.
There's not a cure. There's management techniques.
And that's what we want to treat. That's what we want to teach people. When there's a mental or emotional or physical breakdown, we need to pick them up and we have a serious conversation about owning their scoli. And it's a hard conversation the day that you tell someone that their scoli is not going to go away. And you say that with love in your heart, followed by a very big hug as they cry on your shoulder. And it's okay. It's okay. Because if they have expectations that their spine's going to be straight,
well, you're just lying to them. You're doing them a favor by, sometimes the hard thing to do is the right thing to do.
Right. But in turn, it helps them own their bodies. A client that is going through a lot right now with her scoliosis. Sometimes I will let someone have a key to my studio, and I looked at her and I was like, you need to be in here every day. And I handed her a key and I was like, again, you need to be in here every day. And sure enough, she started owning her body, and she's in the studio every day. Back's calming down. Emotions are calming down. Life's getting better.
It sounds like you've created a real safe haven in your studio, Erin, for not only scoliosis, but myriad of different conditions.
You have to. My goal is not to teach people that they're going to come in for 2 weeks and I'm going to fix them and they're going to leave. That's not what I'm trying to teach people. You got to love on your body for the rest of your life. I don't care what you have. This needs to be a part of your life. And you need to learn to love it. You need to fall in love with it. So you want to do it for the rest of your life. So it is not a chore, but it is the highlight of your day. It is the highlight of your week, and you cannot come. We have little girls that come to my studio when they come in because they have such a fun time doing rehab on their scoli is the reality, but they don't think that. They come in, they draw me pictures. They have pictures for me and my teachers. I mean, they love it. They cannot wait to come in next. That is what I want people to think about. I want people to have that much excitement, learning to love on their bodies for the rest of their life. And I don't care if you're 70. And I don't expect you to draw a picture for me when you come into my studio and you're 70 years old. But I need you to have that much excitement looking forward to moving and working out. If you don't have it, you need to find it. Find a form of movement that you love.
Yes.
And make sure your body loves it.
Something that makes your heart sing.
Yep. Amen, girl.
That's
what
nice,
I got,
Erin.
girl.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Erin. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I always love chatting with you. You're just such a fountain of information. You're a wee scoliosis angel.
Well, I don't know about an angel, but I am a follower of Jesus, and I sure do love him. So, but you know what? It's good. People just need to hear real people talking about Scoli, people who have it talking about Scoli, people who work with people that have Scoli and are in the trenches every day on how to live happy and productive and lovely lives with having this. And girl, I appreciate you doing this podcast and doing all the podcasts that you do and being such a lovely, bright light in the world of scoliosis. People need to see more of this, girl.
Oh, Erin, I literally feel the exact same about you. Like, I've had people reach out to me and be like, thank you so much for bringing Erin Myers into my life. I literally cried listening to that episode. She empowered me to feel so good about myself. And so thank you, Erin. I've got so much love for you and what you do as well. I have the ultimate respect for you.
Yay! Well, thank you, Eva. It was lovely chatting with you today.
So lovely, Erin. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to this wonderful, wonderful conversation with Erin Myers. If you haven't already done so yet, I'd be really appreciative if you hit the subscribe button. And if you're really enjoying the show, getting a lot of value from it, please head on over to iTunes and leave us a review, because my goal with the show is not that I want it to be popular, even though that is lovely, but the more people that know about the show, the more people that we can help, and that's really the goal here, is to alleviate the suffering of people who have scoliosis. So spread the word, guys. If you got a friend who think could benefit from the show, send the Scoliosis Warrior podcast their way. Have an awesome day, my friends, and we'll chat next week.